Ready to go, green flag racing. The green flag falls. The three of Elio Castroneves, Mark James will lead him into one.
He'll grab the spot. James Hinchcliffe grabs P2, and Scott Dixon P3. He's got some company to the high side in Mike Conway. Tony Kanaan, J.R. Hildebrand go side by side as they exit turn 3.
So here they come out of the coaster into Charlotte's Web. Elio Castroneves out in front of James Hinchcliffe, who runs second. Scott Dixon is third. The 14 of Mike Conway currently runs in 5th place. And here's Tony Kanaan. We've got a problem with Rubens Barrichello. So Rubens Barrichello with a problem at the start as the field heads to Jake Query in turn number 9.
Elio Castroneves has won here before. He takes it to the right-hand side as they come out of turn number 8. James Hinchcliffe, a car link behind him. A little bit of movement in the back of the field now. Josef Newgarden going to try to peek to the inside of Rubens Barrichello. Barrichello holds him off as they hold him to 10.
Yeah, and we've got Rubens Barrichello, who has rolled to a stop. No, it's not Barrichello. Barrichello is still at speed, so we're going to have to check and make sure
that
who
must
that
be
is.
Alex Zanardi, I'm going to say.
So we're gonna check it. Well, not Zanardi, Alex Tagliani.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, so it's Alex Tagliani who has rolled to a stop, driver left. That's Elio Castroneves coming across the line. He will be the leader. Here comes Hinch on the outside. Mark James, they head back to you. Here comes Dixon.
A little bit of contact between Scott Dixon and James Hinchcliffe, and that forced Mike Conway to get awfully low on the racetrack. Rahal looks to be a mover. He dances to the high side and Tony Kanaan. Now he'll tuck in behind him, but Elio Castroneves in command.
Great restart for Elio Castroneves, about 6 car length the advantage over James Hinchcliffe. On the outside, looks like one of the cars trying to make a move. Who is it? It is Graham Rahal. Graham Rahal has gone to 4th place, and to behind him, Tony Kanaan. So Graham Rahal and Charlotte's Web. Jake Query is ahead to you. He'll be 4th.
Castroneves works his way all the way down now into turn number 9. Then behind him, it's Hinchcliffe about 2 car lengths back. Then Dixon and Rahal. Rahal, the big mover, already made up half his positions. He started 8th, now into 4th.
Elio Castroneves out in front of this 26-car field. James Hinchcliffe runs 2nd. Then you've got Scott Dixon, Graham Rahal, Tony Kanaan, J.R. Hildebrand, Mike Conway, Simon Pagano is up to 8th, and Will Power, who started 9th. Maybe that's right where he started. He still sits there in E.J. Vizo. He is currently running 10th. I'm a little surprised we haven't seen Will Power make up a couple of spots early. And let's remember, he is on the Firestone blacks, not the red.
Well, that's why, right there. I mean, these guys on reds, it's a definite advantage to have the red alternate tires on. He does not, so he's waiting for his later. It could pay off. He just holds his own right now.
Scott Dixon out in front here at the Honda Indy Grand Prix of Alabama. And Davey, it was a great stop by that 9 crew that put him there. We knew when he beat Hinch off of pit lane that he had a good one, but Elio Castroneves not able to get past him, as Scott Dixon is now shown our race leader.
Well, you got to remember something. Scott Dixon was about 3.5 seconds back from that lead. So he not only made up, he made up 3.5+ seconds on the in-lap, the out-lap, the pit stop. So pretty impressive that he was able to, he went from 3rd to 1st on that pit stop. Pretty impressive.
Yep, so the 9 crew getting their job done there on the first stop. Okay, so Davey, we figure now, based on what we just saw, that the window then should open up for the 2nd stop around lap 51 or 52.
That's right. I would say 52 or 53 for some of the late guys, but yeah, that when you hit the 50 lap, you got to remember these early guys, they're going to be back in 44s, 45s. Right?
See if you could stretch it to Graham Rahal stretched it. Who else really? We saw Michael Young. Who was it? Was it Graham that went to 27? Michael?
Yes, that's Graham Rahal hit at 27, guys. He was the last guy to come in and cycle through. Dixon and Hinchcliffe came in the lap before that, but boy, Graham Rahal certainly stretched things out.
If he can do that, Michael, Davey, if he can do that with this 2nd stint, that puts him at 54, and that still won't make it.
Still keeps him short. So.
No, yeah, with 90 laps, yeah.
It's really a basic 3. I mean,
it is a basic
lot
3.
Of yellows.
Yeah.
Ooh, somebody. Oh, how about this race right down here?
Will Power, and Will Power Dyson with Tony Kanaan as they swap positions, and now they're side by side off of 6. Jake Query, they head to you.
This is one where they had been working on each other for the last few times by. Now Will Power works his way into turn number 9. Tony Kanaan tries to peek to the inside, can't do so. The battle for 5th is Will Power holding off Kanaan by a half a car length.
Well, let's give you the full field rundown as we've got 31 of 90 laps being shown complete. So we're roughly 1/3 of the way through the Honda Indy Grand Prix of Alabama. Scott Dixon is your race leader. It was the first pit stop that really did the job for Dixon. His guys on the 9 crew, the over-the-wall guys, really gave him a couple of extra seconds, and that's what earned him the top spot there. Elio Castroneves, who led throughout much of the first stint, is now shown in second place. James Hinchcliffe is third, Graham Rahal fourth, and Will Power, who started ninth, is now up to fifth. Tony Kanaan is sixth, Mike Conway is seventh, Simon Pagenaud is eighth, J.R. Hildebrand is ninth, Ryan Briscoe is 10th, Sebastian Bourdais is 11th, Marco Andretti is 12th, Ryan Hunter-Reay is 13th, E.J. Vizo runs 14th, Takuma Sato is 15th, Dario Franchitti is 16th, Oriol Servia is 17th, and plus 9 on the day is Oriol. Charlie Kimball is 18th, and Rubens Barrichello and Justin Wilson close out the top 20. Then Josef Newgarden, Simona Di Silvestro, James Jakes, Ed Carpenter, Catherine Legg, and Alex Tagliani. Well, I tell you what, Davey, here comes Dario. He's going to go, trying to go to the inside. That's where he got Sato before, not able to get him there, man. Dario right now is on aggressive plus mode.
He is that. Wow, I'll tell you. He is all over it. And Dario works, yeah, he sits right now in that 13th spot, working on Hildebrand and Briscoe, but he's consistently hammering his way through.
Sebastian Bourdais is driving it just about as hard as you can drive it, Mark James, and right behind him, you've got Briscoe, you've got Hildebrand, and Franchitti heading to you.
Well, Briscoe leads that freight train with Bourdais starting to pull away from him. Hildebrand, as we see tire smoke pop off the car of Brian Briscoe, looks for some room to the bottom, and he'll make that pass. Is the door open for Dario Franchitti? The drag race back up the hill.
Oriol Servia plus 12 on the day, so J.R. Hildebrand is going to get around the two cars. Mark caught it, and now Dario Franchitti, he's got him in his crosshairs, and off of turn number 5, he's going to get past Briscoe as well.
Wow, Briscoe just can't get on the throttle, and he's on red. It's a little surprised. It looks like he just has so much understeer, cannot get that car to turn and pivot in the corner and be able to accelerate. Man, he's losing time like crazy. Who is that?
That's Justin Wilson out in front of Simona Di Silvestro. Simona's going to get him, and it looks like James Jakes is going to get him, and it looks like Josef Newgarden is going to get him. It has been a nightmarish day. Jake Query, you got 4 cars heading your way. Let's see if they can all get out of the corkscrew in one piece.
All right, let's see what happens. And getting out in front of it, getting a little bit loose. Simona Di Silvestro got a good look at that. That's James Jakes. Then Di Silvestro. Josef Newgarden starts to pull away just a little bit. He's the third in that 4-car train.
Yeah, so, and we knew, and Justin unfortunately knew. In fact, his quote to me was, it can only get better.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I've never seen anybody control an IndyCar, a rear-engine IndyCar, sideways, like it's a dirt car at the fairgrounds at Indy, like he's doing. I mean, every single corner, he is counterlocked, going through those corners, and I don't know how he does it. I honestly don't know how he's hanging on.
We've got 2 or 3 4-car groups that are just amazing right now, the way they are fighting each other on this course, Davey, and so many guys are being so aggressive out there. It is really incredible.
Sato gets a little bit loose. It gives that's Oriol Servia a little bump, and meanwhile, Ryan Hunter-Reay is able to go by both of them. Sato's got problems.
Sato's got problems. So Takuma Sato has slowed to a stop. He is going to pull off the course. In the straightaway between, it does. It looks like the right rear is gone. So now let's go to Jake Query.
Almost a problem. Oriol Servia and Ryan Briscoe. Briscoe really had to lock him up. That allowed Oriol Servia to get by. Guys, turns 8 and 9, when they come into turn number 9, and Davey, I don't know if you can expand on this, if the inside line, maybe just with rubber laying down, has gotten slicker, but at the beginning of the race, when they come into turn number 9, the cars would stay a little bit closer to the inside of the track. Now everybody's starting to sweep outside. Looks like maybe it's getting a little slicker there between 8 and 9.
Yeah, and that's what happens. I mean, these cars, matter of fact, the handling goes off, the track gets slicker more. You know, we haven't had any yellows really. The marbles are shooting up. We can see them on our monitors right here, Jake, that they're getting on that racetrack, and when you get in them just a little bit, it spreads them throughout the racetrack. But we see Sato out of his car. Yeah, if I was him,
done.
I wouldn't look around.
No,
I'd just get that open.
I was going to say he's in a, I don't want to say a bit of a danger zone, but he is going to be walking back. So Takuma Sato leaves his car there. At best, it'd be a local yellow. That is a straightaway portion heading where they would set up for turn number 8.
Yeah, guys, Dario Franchitti, the reason why Ryan Hunter-Reay could get around him so easily, his tires are shot. The team has told him you've got to make 7 more laps before you can come in for that final stop. So Dario is just hanging on now until he can come in and put on some new Firestones.
And Davey, he is driving with some anger today. He is out there. He was not at all happy about that qualifying session yesterday, and he has just been so aggressive. And we've got a car that's come to a stop, and that looks like, is that the Sonny's barbecue car? Is that Justin Wilson? As he spins it around, Mark James, is that?
Yeah, he's still going to go. What a good job.
Is that Justin, Mark?
He made contact with another car, Mike, and got got spun around, but he was able to keep it fired and got it going in the right direction. So a tough day just got tougher for Justin Wilson.
Yeah, you feel sorry for the guy. He's running 20th right now, doing everything he can to hang on. Meantime, the battle for 10th place, J.R. Hildebrand, Ryan Hunter-Reay. It looks like it's going to come to the corkscrew. Let's head to Jake Query.
These two have been going at it now for a couple of circuits. J.R. Hildebrand, that number 4, he gets a little squirrely going into turn number 9. Ryan Hunter-Reay can't take advantage, but he stays right there behind him, the distance about 2 car lengths before you get to that DHL machine.
Scott Dixon is hung up behind Simonity Silvestro, Davey, as they make their way to turn number 8.
Yeah, and she's not running too bad, but definitely hold him up. Oh, I mean, that was actually Marco Andretti. No contact was made. It's just Justin Wilson. That thing is looser than a sprint car.
Well, our hope was that most teams were going to pit between 68 and 72. Instead, most teams were pitting while we were away for that break. So my apologies to you. We did have some activity and a lot of it on pit lane. But Davey, while that was happening, Catherine Legg was going off course. And now a full course caution has come out with Will Power being shown the race leader.
Basically what happened is on the last pit stop, everyone wants to pit as early as they can, just in case the yellow was to come out. So guys that took advantage of that was Pagano, was Will Power,
Marco Andretti,
to take advantage of if the yellow was to go, and Bourdais actually as
Sebastian Bourdais as well.
Then it would put them in the lead of the field. But what they did, and it's probably the wise thing, just to keep it fair and not put a strategy into this, the league allowed, Catherine Legg went off track. They let everybody pit before they threw the yellow. Now, it's a little dangerous. She's in a race car. She's safe. She's got a helmet on. That's not an area that it's a slower area. You don't really get off in her area. So they consider it safe. Let everybody pit, so it didn't put anybody out to lunch.
Will Power and Scott Dixon onto the front straight. They'll see the green flag, and they'll accelerate. A lot of dicing behind the leaders. What a great restart across the line, side by side, Mark James, into turn number 1.
But Scott Dixon has to lift. That gives Will Power the advantage. Behind Will Power, all kinds of melee. The 67 machine among those that got off the course. That's the car by Josef Newgarden. They're 2-3 wide through the Alabama roller coaster. Meanwhile, Will Power, Scott Dixon, a bunch of them wanted up behind them, Mike.
And the 77 car Pagano trying to go to the outside of James Hinchcliffe for 5th place. He's going to get it done. So here's Pagano. Now he'll try to work on the 38 cars. The leaders head to Jake Query in turn number 8.
Pagano a year ago passed 15 cars in this race. Will Power a year ago went flag to flag for the win. Now Will Power out of turn number 9. Then it's Dixon, Elio Castroneves, Graham Rahal. They go single file. Sebastian Bourdais tried to look to the outside, further back in the field, but couldn't get past J.R. Hildebrand.
About 5 car lengths separate first and second place. Davey, I'm going to tell you what, that was one of the best formations I've seen off of turn 17 ever here. And they were really bunched up there at the start.
And let me tell you something. We've seen some rubbing, some tire smoking going down to turn 1. I think these cars with the wider side pods, the wider under trays, being able to touch and not catching wheels is making a big difference. These guys are actually touching and still able to stay on the racetrack and not affecting them.
Scott Dixon trying to reel in Will Power in turn number 1.
Dixon's going to come up just a little bit short in turn number 1. Meanwhile, those front 2 starting to spread out a bit from Elio Castroneves. Graham Rahal has a big challenge, the 77 HP machine. That is Simon Pagano as they roar out of turn number 4.
About 4 car lengths separate the Verizon wireless car. That Chevy Power on board with Will Power. Behind him, you've got Scott Dixon, the Honda-powered number 9 Target Chip Ganassi racing machine. And boy, I tell you what, Davey, it looks like we're going to have a battle on our hands here between these two.
Well, those two guys have checked out. It's definitely a Power Dixon show right now. Elio Castroneves fell back. He's 2 seconds back already on that first lap. Then behind him with Rahal, Pagano, Hinchcliffe, Andretti, Conway, they're like nose to tail.
So as Scott Dixon comes off of turn number 10, he is trying to reel in Will Power. But Davey, you don't push the button too soon. You don't want to abuse those tires.
Right, and they have definitely checked out. Look at that lead that those two have pulled away with. And Dixon wants to put pressure on him because he wants Will to make a mistake. And I'm a little surprised that Will by himself not pulling away, but Dixon has a strong car.
Scott Dixon, though, it looks like he is pulling up on Will Power. They'll come off of 17 onto the front straight. And here comes Scott Dixon. Less than 3 car lengths separate first and second place. Across the line, Mark James with 76 of 90 complete. Does Dixon have anything for him this time? So Scott Dixon, what does he have for Will Power in these closing laps? Power already onto turn number 17. And Dave, you know, it's not like this one's almost over. You know, we still got several laps to run that we're going to complete. 79 of 80 right here. And Mark James, 11 laps on a road course like this. That's a lot of racing you have to do.
Things can happen, there's no question, Mike. Dixon has about a 3 car lengths deficit now as they work their way through turn 3. Again, Castroneves can't shake loose from Rahal. Same for Rahal and Pagano. The 77 machine stepped out a bit away from the machine of James Hinchcliffe as they roar towards turn number 5.
And Davey, as we watch the leaders off of turn number 5, I guess it's worth noting that just about everyone is finishing this race on the alternate revs.
Yeah, they sure are. And right now, I'll tell you, the race is from 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th.
Yep.
Those 4 guys, they really, that Horkett, they were pretty much.
And I tell you what, watch Rubens Barrichello as he comes towards you, Jake Query. He's going to try to pick up the 14 car, and Dario Franchitti is going to try to get past Servia, Jake.
He's had an interesting day, Rubens Barrichello as well. He's trying to work his way in on Mike Conway, about a car length and a half behind him. Then 8 car lengths behind them, or rather I should say 8 spots behind him, is where you have that battle where Servia tries to close in Franchitti. Franchitti, as they hit the straightaway, distances himself just a bit.
Yep, so Dario Franchitti, Davey, he completes the pass, so Dario will go to 13th place with that pass.
Yeah, it gets back that 13th spot, but wasn't that easy. I tell you what, Servia was doing good. Now the highest running Lotus right now is still Bourdais in 12th, and remember, he had a bit of an issue in the pits. It took to cost him some time as well.
Man, some great racing from start to finish here today. We're going to keep our eye on the leader. White flag is out. Mark James as the Verizon car comes to you. Will Power trying to make it 2 in a row here at Barber.
Well, after this day, Mike, I don't think you can say you can't pass here. You need to say it's very, very hard to pass here. A lot of guys have pulled it off today, and gals for that matter. It's been a spirited battle here in the heart of Dixie in Birmingham, Alabama. Will Power has had the field covered over the last stint of this race. It looks as though the battle for 3rd is shaking loose, and the number 3 car might have a firm grasp on that.
Will Power, what a drive for him. What a great job for his team down there in pit lane. And Jake Query, he's going to head for you for the final time.
As Mark James said, the heart of Dixie, but Scott Dixon right now is finding himself behind Will Power, looking for Sweet 16, his 16th win in the Eyesight IndyCar Series. He's the defending winner. Will Power on his way to 2 in a row in Alabama, Mike King.
Man, oh man, what a drive for Will Power. And Davey, is he going to be happy about this one after finishing 7th last week?
Yeah, he sure is. And how about Scott Dixon? Don't give him, he was 2nd 2 weeks in a row. He's got a tough race car.
We keep our eye out now for the Verizon Wireless car of Will Power off of turn 17 for the final time. The Aussie, he'll see the twin checkered flags and he will throw the fist into the air. He'll salute his team and he finishes 3 seconds in front of Scott Dixon. That is his 16th career win, his 2nd in a row here at Barber. He comes from 9th to 1st. Outstanding. Now here's the race to the line for that 3rd spot on the podium. It's going to be Helio Castroneves as he edges Graham Rahal by just about a car length. Simon Pagano, we've still got racing
Dario
coming to the line. Dario
corner.
Franchitti is going to get past Marco Andretti racing to the end. So Dario Franchitti will wind up in the top 10. Ryan Hunter-Reay will come home in 12th place behind Andretti, then Servia, Briscoe, Hildebrand, Jakes, Newgarden, Vizo, Wilson, and De Silvestro. Mark James, this day belongs to Will Power and the Verizon Wireless 12 crew, and Chevrolet is 2 for 2 to start the 2012 season.